right,
So I have to
ready?
talk about it. Yes.
Camera one. I don't know. Hi, welcome back to another episode of The Effects of Influencing. I'm Audrey, and this is Jacob, and this is going to be the summary, wrap-up episode of this series.
The conclusion, if you will.
Yes. Sad it's come to an end. My first real series that I've ever
Yeah.
done. It's been a lot more work than I think a lot of people
Right.
would think.
Yeah, and this is only one episode a week too. You know, some YouTube channels be putting out multiple videos a week. It's
Yeah,
lot
and
of
this
planning.
is this stuff aside, because it's only so hard to sit down and have a conversation with my best friend and
That is true.
my roommate. But your moment. But the behind the scenes part, making sure that you've got your schedule and keeping yourself on track, and especially the social media side, and the stressing about views and stressing about what kind of accounts are going to follow you, and how you're going to spread, and I don't know.
How you're
It's
going to be
just
perceived. Yeah.
yeah, it's all the same struggle that we're talking about
Yeah,
is
of
one
these
that
other
I've
people.
started to kind of face, and it's been interesting. So in this episode, we want to kind of recap where we've been throughout this,
Yes.
and also what we've talked about, and just what we've learned overall.
Yep.
So going back to episode 1, talking about Kim and Kanye, which has aged
Kardashians.
so
Wow.
well.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole nother episode on that.
I know.
Yeah.
So Kanye since has,
Saddeningly.
been saying some stuff about the Jewish people as a
Yeah.
whole, I guess. I
Not great.
it's just,
And just other stuff too. I mean, the whole, obviously, this part is not great and the worst of it, but just everything with Kim too, and his social media rants. I was following him until obviously these comments came out, but yeah, it's.
how do it make you feel as someone who's been a really big fan of his
Yeah, I mean,
music
it's
for a long
sad.
time?
I mean, obviously, I know, kind of what I was getting into in a way of being his fan. Obviously, I like his music, and I'm able to separate his music from him. But I don't know. I mean, it is sad, and it's because I mean, you do have to respect him in some sense of being a icon, and being a generation of music and influencing so many others of in his genre now. But you can only put up with so much at the same time. And it's some people will have a stronger connection with celebrities. I just am able to not be oh, that's my idol. I don't idolize any of them. But it is sad to see someone who I enjoy listening to, and yeah.
Yeah, you even
Come
asked me
out
the other
that
day
way.
if I've ever cried over a celebrity or anything.
Yeah, a
and
deaths, yeah.
I'm just, I don't get that level of parasocial relationship, and even to characters in movies, I feel I have a stronger connection than to the people who play them.
That is a good point. That is a good point.
Because I get to
I'm much more likely to cry seeing a character that I die than the actor. And that might sound bad because obviously it's
that's
someone
a real-
actually
a real
dying
person.
versus a fictional character.
But it's a different kind of
But
relationship.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
yeah.
but people, I don't know, people do go through that really close, I don't know. I guess looking up to people in a parental or role model kind of way, and seeing that crumble can be really hurtful.
Yeah.
When was the first moment you realized that Kanye was problematic as a fan?
Well, I mean, I actually kind of late to the Kanye train. I just started really listening to his music. Obviously, I'd heard of him and heard some of his songs, but I guess I didn't really start listening to him until 3 years ago. And by then, so many comments and stories. I mean, obviously Taylor at the VMAs, and I mean, George Bush doesn't care about black people. There's so many quotes and so many stuff to where you almost knew, but some of those things were funny in a way, some of those lines, but when this came out, going DEFCON 3 on Jewish people, that's just
Yeah.
that's not funny in any fashion. So
Yeah.
But-
Side note, did you ever see that? I don't remember if it was a Vine or a TikTok or whatever, but when they had like the quote wall at some like art museum, and it was like you're supposed to pull one of these, like they're all little rolled
Oh,
up
I've
quotes
seen this.
and
I've seen
someone
this.
pulled it out.
Yeah, and
it
it's
was
like,
George Bush.
yeah,
Fuck.
yeah, like there's so many good ones. Like, what does Lady Gaga know about cameras? Like with Polaroid and stuff like that. There's so many.
I
but,
was thinking about that one
yeah.
literally like 2 days ago.
Yeah, and it's just, but now he's like crossed like a new barrier to where
I'm a
like,
fan of some of the Gaga
yeah.
songs. What the fuck does she know about cameras?
yeah, like oh my gosh, yeah. So, yeah, but it is like sad to see him like be in like this dark place because he is like, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. Obviously, he's like gone through a lot, the divorce, but like he's also like made a stank of it to where like he's almost like made it worse on him and like the social media, and obviously like making it worse on everyone, even his kids. So,
Yeah.
but it is sad to say, and sad to see.
It appears Kim is doing well.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah.
Post breakup with Pete, she seems like she's just focusing on her.
Mhm.
Skims is like getting up there in brands in terms of like being like one of these really
Like a Fortune 500.
yeah, just like one of
Yeah,
these.
Damn.
I mean,
that's a big deal.
being maybe not.
Yeah.
But like being up there in terms of like like being, what's the word?
Transcending.
Projected to
Projecting?
be like.
Oh yeah. Projected. It's
Okay,
like projected
good.
to be. Yeah.
Projected to be doing like really well in the next like, and is doing really well. with,
yeah.
like,
I mean, she's like the leading. That's like the big one out of the brands of like the Kardashians.
and it's not that
Jenners, right?
it's not like it's only so many years old.
Right,
And
yeah,
the
I was gonna
fact
say
that
it's relatively
grown
new
so
as well.
fast, they're really doing well for themselves, and you know, I think it's just
It's good to see.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad that she's like able to be okay, I guess. But I mean, we also like see so much to where like she might be going through a lot and like puts on like, I don't want to say a show, or just like doesn't show it as much, like what she's going through on camera when she's filming, and like obviously her social media posts
I
and
think
like
they've
stuff like that. But
grown a lot over the last few years in terms of like one, just as people, but two, in terms of like management and like all of that, like learning how to brand themselves. And I think they do a really good job of it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that they've made a good
Yeah.
example of like what not to be, but also is like becoming like a good version of like
of
how
what
to
you
turn
can
it.
be,
Yeah, what you
and,
can be, and how to
especially
spin
like
it.
turn
and-
it, yeah. I mean, Kim Kardashian is like arguably the most recognizable woman alive. Like, I mean, the only competitor really is like Michelle Obama. I feel like.
Yeah, and she's.
I mean,
it's-
especially after the Queen just passed, like she was probably number one, but that's
There's
like
a-
crazy to think about. Michelle Obama and Kim Kardashian, they're like two different, and for like Kim to be able to like make her way
I mean,
up to that like pedestal in a
isn't it
way,
kind of
it's
funny that you
like
made
pretty
the
impressive.
comparison because Kanye was like wanted to run for president, and then
Oh,
Kim would have
Lord.
also been a first lady. Can you imagine Kim Kardashian being the? We overlooked this.
Damn.
Maybe we didn't.
Kanye 2024? Psych. Yeah, no, he probably won't even be able to run. I mean, I guess he still
He can't
could,
campaign on Twitter now.
right? And probably
That's a
other
huge
social media
platform to
platforms.
lose.
That is true.
Good God. But yeah, I think the lesson to learn from that is there's so many. I don't think there's
Yeah.
any big overarching like thing to learn from all of them.
Yeah.
They've taught so many lessons over the like what 20 years
Yeah, that
they've
they've
been
stayed
in
relevant.
this
Yeah,
industry.
crazy.
And then moving on, we had what, Gabby Hanna?
Was Gabby next? I guess so.
It
Yeah.
was Gabby
Well,
Hanna.
because like we weren't gonna at first, and then like we changed it because obviously like her post.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
the
She's
she
gonna
was
be, like, the
making
third or
those
fourth,
posts the
yeah.
night before we
Yeah.
we were gonna
And we had
film,
to-
and
yeah.
I literally changed
switch it up,
everything
yeah.
that whole night. And
But it was worth it.
yeah, it
'cause
was.
It was perfect timing.
I
Very
loved
timely.
one talking about that because that was, and then two, like getting to talk about the like repercussions of posts like that, and of like the
Like
kind
actual
of, and then
problems,
also
you know?
like the posts made about posts like that, and those repercussions. I feel
And how
like we
people
got to
perceive
cover so many
that, and-
important things in
Yeah.
that episode.
I was gonna say. I mean, if out of all of our episodes, I think that one we touched on like the most like real issues that like people like deal with. Obviously, the other ones are like justifiable in their own way, but like this one like is like with like mental disabilities and like stuff like that, and
And
I thought it was important that we
the
talked about
reels from that one were like my best received, like in terms of views and engagements and
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of that
It was
stuff.
yeah.
Like, I just think that that's a topic that people are like coming to see, that it's something that we need to talk about, that like we don't need to make assumptions, but how do we care about people online?
That we
Like, how do we
don't know,
care about
yeah.
these creators and their well-being, and like see them as role models, and then see them go through a crisis and not want to get involved, but then like feel
Maybe
like you need
feeling
to
guilty,
do what
yeah.
do you, yeah, exactly. And then
But then like realizing,
even
oh, but
like
why,
with,
why is
with
it my
people
job?
that
you know?
aren't
It's
these, yeah, even with the
lot.
creators that like, or people that you see online, they don't even have to be content creators, that you see online that are like struggling, like you feel some kind of duty to help them. And even if
yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
to
like
leave a
even like
comment.
even like the watch 5 times so my mom can get her surgery and stuff like that. It's
Yeah.
like, damn, I feel like sometimes I guess I'll scroll through and be like, damn, I kind of feel bad, and like I'll scroll back up and be like, okay, 1, 2, I did my job, like, you know,
Yeah.
like, and it like is, but this is like something a lot different to where like. Because you can only do but so much. Like, I guess like I did my part in a way when I like watch these videos to like help people boost their views and stuff like that. But like with that, it's like, what are you gonna tell her?
People
Because
just,
like,
I
and
think
she's
that,
in a state that people don't. Yeah.
I
you'd
think
to
that
be able
people
to
have
see it.
come to look to the internet for comfort and for advice for especially younger generations like us. Like, the internet's always kind of been there since we had questions
That is true.
to ask them to. And so I think that, you know, turning to the internet for those answers and comfort and all of that has become so natural. And so what comes with that is also the need to reciprocate that care and comfort to people when you see it. And so like, what kind of weird, like, sort of parasocial relationships, like they're real people, but they're never someone that you're ever going to interact with, because this video has now millions of views and you leave a comment just because you feel like you need to, because you feel bad. So
Yeah.
it's just that's a whole different side of it. But then people going on to be like making assumptions or making an example out of people who are struggling in that kind of way. And what that means, one, for the people who care about that person, the fans, that person in the first place, and all the people who are now going to be perceiving that message, that person through that lens, because it's like, that's how you're going to perceive that person now, especially if it's your first interaction, or if you already had that viewpoint and
Which
that,
you very well could have with Gabby Hanna. You
Yes.
know, like.
that, you know, this crazy person, or this is this mental illness and this is like exactly why this is wrong, bad, whatever. Even if it's like an example of like, this is just a person who needs help and it's not being mean, like it's still using someone as an example without, you know, really fully understanding the situation, because I don't even know if she fully understands the situation. But anyway, it's just a weird to think of like how that affects on all
Others.
these different
Yeah.
levels.
And other lives, like, you know, like, I mean, like, even seeing like stuff like that and like being like triggered, I guess is the correct term. It might not be, but like into having like an episode yourself, or like reminding you of like past things that you maybe have had to deal with. It's like a lot, and it can like take its toll. And especially when it's like what Gabby, it's like one thing if you see one post, it's another if you're like scrolling through and like hours of this like episode is, I guess what I'll call it, breakdown. Like, it can definitely easily like trigger someone into having one themselves, which is, yeah, a lot.
So there were many a lesson to be learned from
Yes.
that dissection. And I really, what a vocab
Come on, yeah.
word.
That's your word of the day. I hope you know that if
Put
you're
it
watching
right
this
here.
though. Dissection. That kind of sounds weird, yeah. I was picturing like SpongeBob imagination and then like dissection. That's yeah, that's terrible. Next.
Clear that out. But I did really enjoy getting to cover that topic,
Yeah,
and
no,
I
that
felt
one
like it
was
was
good.
something really important to talk about. And then we did the Try Guys,
God,
and I
that
know,
just feels so. That one feels like more recent than those other two.
right?
Like, I don't know, weird. Because maybe we switch this one too. Well, no, because that wouldn't make sense. Yeah. Anyways,
No.
that's another important topic too, though. Of like,
how you have to learn how to like work in groups as
well, yeah. I mean, there's that, and then
creator.
like being vulnerable to your fans, and like the like what could be like the, I guess, consequence of that with like SNL, and like what like draws a line when SNL is doing that, like what, yeah,
It was
there was
almost
like a
like
lot with that.
that video getting on SNL was like when a video gets on the wrong side of the internet.
Yes.
It was,
And like you look at the comments and they're like,
and people, yeah, exactly. You look at the comments and you're like, damn.
Yeah.
Like this is not what I thought people were gonna be saying about
Yeah.
this shit.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
It's like that's what.
It's like you agree with the, it's the worst when you agree with the post and then you look at the comments and they're like bashing it. You're like,
You're like,
oh, next.
Yeah, exactly.
Unpopular opinion, I guess, but yeah.
Um.
It was just a lot though. I mean, for them to make fun of them, like trying to be sincere with their fans and to other people too, and like trying to like teach a lesson in its own right, you know? It's
Yeah, and it's
that
a
was a
lesson.
lot.
And it is a lesson in like having to work with other people and like building your brand with other people and
Mm-hmm.
having those relationships. I cannot imagine. You know me.
I do.
I do. I am a very independent person, especially when it comes to like being creative. And I love like collaborating with people, but to be like staking my entire business like for years and years and years being built on
Yeah.
top of it on other people and like their ability to brand themselves. I don't know if I could do that. That's
It's a
something
lot.
that's so hard to do.
Yeah.
And like a lot, that's why a lot of collaborations don't work out, is because like people have PR issues or people have disagreements, and
Yeah,
that's a
they're on
totally
it.
human thing to do. And I
Yeah.
feel like it's very frowned upon for whatever reason, and not be able to be professional about it. But you shouldn't have to be professional with somebody if they have proven to be someone that you can't cooperate and collaborate with.
That is true.
And I feel like that's often overlooked.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was just my brief thing on that. But the whole Ned Fulmer thing raised a whole lot of points about, especially because they had a platform for such a long time and had elevated themselves and were kind of made themselves into like that, like, whereas with like Gabby and stuff like that and Kanye and the things we discussed before that, this Try Guy situation, they kind of like owned their being problematic, whereas the Try Guys were like these wholesome dudes, like
I guess that's true,
families.
yeah.
Like this is like something that was really out of the blue for them, and like why and how is that different from someone like Gabby?
Or you're like almost expecting it.
Yes, exactly. And where like this was like, I don't know, Gabby was talked about, but only because it was so extreme, like the number. If Gabby had posted like 5 videos of her doing this, no, it
It
would
might
have been
still
nowhere.
got some views. It might have got still some,
But like
just 'cause
nowhere
it's her,
near
but
the
yeah,
attention that it
yeah.
did. But one thing happens with them, and it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's like the way that you brand yourself and how does it have to evolve? And it's almost like you see like with teen or not necessarily teen, but like kid stars that become like older and they have to like go through that rebranding process
Yeah.
because were so innocent, and people are always like disgusted by it. I feel like the same thing ends up happening with people who brand themselves in that way, even as adults. Like if people brand themselves as wholesome, like or even like childlike or family people or anything that's supposed to be like that endearing, like trusting thing, and they end up doing something bad, like it's a big like break in trust.
Yeah, 'cause it's,
as
like, part
opposed to
of their
someone who's like more like, yeah, this is
free
me.
flowing. Yeah. And like not trying to like curate an image, but like when people do,
Not saying that they like weren't open about their flaws or anything
Yeah.
like that, but I feel like they were very like wholesome guys.
yeah,
and
like
that,
it was a part of their identity, and
they've
like
never
when that
really
identity
had
is like
a-
questioned, you can't like, you have to question like the brand itself. It's like, well, are they even the Try Guys anymore? It's like,
Yeah, and it's like that's the identity is the friendship is part of the identity, and I
Yeah.
think that's what it is. It's not that they were like lost any of the like wholesome energy that those individuals have, and except
yeah,
for
because that's
Ned.
also a part of their identity.
But it was that
themselves.
the friendship was part of the identity of the brand, and so that's what's you have to like evolve through and like figure that out. So it was just it was a lot of very important like topics, and we've said that's about every single one so far.
And
Like,
that one
very
had like a
important
lot of like
topics.
themes in it though. Yeah, the other ones like had like one kind of like major theme. Those like have like
Mm-hmm.
a few sub themes, I guess I'll call them. But yeah, that one was a good one too.
Yeah, I agree. Right smack dab in the middle is the sunshine of this podcast, Brittany Broski.
Oh, okay.
Number
That's
4.
right. That was fun. Who talked? Aaliyah was there with us, right?
Aaliyah was
Yeah.
here to talk about Brittany Broski.
That was fun.
It was a
That was a
really
good
fun one. I was happy to talk about something that was
Positive. Yeah. Finally.
and we didn't really continue that trend too much.
I mean, it's because it's so easier to talk about negative people, you know?
Because that's what makes the news.
That's
But
right.
it's so nice to see that like we get to see Brittany so often and in so much stuff, and so celebrated for being someone who's. I mean, she has her moments where she's like honest, but she's not like negative. She's a
Yeah.
very like wholesome person.
Transparent.
And I feel like if she did do something that was like bad, she'd be treated like a normal person too. I mean, I think people would be like pretty understanding because she's been so understanding and honest and genuine.
And
as a
and the
person.
thing is, like, I think if like she was to like something was to come out about her, I think she would like knit it right in like, you know, I don't know the term, knit in
Yeah,
the bud.
nip.
Nip. I don't know. But I think she would like make a video of like explaining herself and stuff, and people would like react. I mean, they might not, but like depending on like obviously the circumstances, if this were to come out. But I think I think she would handle it very well, opposed to like some creators would.
Yeah. I feel like we just had there weren't like many issues tackled
Yeah.
in her episode besides
like a
just
highlight.
like that Aaliyah brought up the point of people aren't looking at people online as these multifaceted like beings that, you know, people have all of these different aspects of their personality, and oftentimes creators take the route of
Channeling like only one part of their
yeah,
personality.
because that's the consistency is what sells. And
She's kind of like debunked that. In a
yeah,
way
Brittany
has.
doesn't do that. Brittany has all these different aspects to herself, and that's, I think, what makes her such a popular creator. Even though it's a difficult thing to do. It's a difficult thing to make people really love you and in a genuine way. And I think that she's brought something really special to the internet. And so just a brief moment to celebrate Brittany Broski. And then after Brittany, we discussed Addison Rae.
Okay.
Or rather, Addison Rae's parents, which
That was a lot. Yeah.
my key takeaway from that is that Addison had worked for several years to get her moment where she's finally going to start being taken seriously. And, you know, it's her moment is still going to come. It's just, I feel like she was kind of one step forward, two steps back, and it wasn't due to her own actions. It was due to her parents, where they
Stole
took
the light.
the attention away from her.
Took the spotlight.
And I think that was, it shows a lot about how families can be dragged into this.
Or like, and this isn't even like dragging families into it. It's like almost like them like playing into it.
How
it's
families can take advantage of these situations instead, you know?
Yeah, and I think that was a glaring example. Like, yeah, no, when I saw that video of like him doing his rap, I guess Monty, or like that one that you showed me, I was like, come on now, you're a grown man. Like your daughter is like this like star, and like why can't you just play in like the shadows? You know, like why do you have to be like? Obviously, you want to be a part of like her life, but like in her journey, but like why do you have to like play that bigger role?
Why do you have to?
guess?
First of all, people are brushing over the fact. I get that like age shouldn't really be a thing, but
yeah, but there's always gonna be like.
I know, but they're just
little bit
so
of a-
close in age, and
Yeah.
them not. If it was an open thing and if they'd like discussed it, it'd be a whole different thing. If it was, but it was hidden, and it makes it feel gross.
Yeah.
In a different kind of way, like in a way that is.
I mean, it's like already frowned upon in a way, like having like a huge age gap, and then like when you do it this way, when your daughter's like this public figure who's close to this girl in age, it like maximizes it that much worse. Like, yeah.
And Sherry did no better.
Yeah, she did. I'm like more disappointed than her. Like,
no, because she made the statement publicly that, you know, I'm going to put my family first and all of this stuff, and then went right around and did the exact same thing that her ex did.
Yeah.
Went and, you know, was in public with a man that's the same age as
Who's
the
like a
girl
star,
that
yeah.
roughly the same age as the one, their daughter too, that girl that her husband was caught with.
Yep.
So what makes you any better?
Yep.
Because
Hypocrite.
because the guy you got with is more famous than the girl he got with.
Yeah. That almost makes it worse.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess because there were I don't know, I don't want to call it relationship, but like their feelings and flirting was more public than what like Monty's and this
Yeah.
girl's were. But like still, that doesn't make it okay.
No.
It almost makes it, yeah, just more like attention seeking, like doing it on an app, on TikTok, especially one that your daughter blew up on.
Well, and I
So,
think it was. I
yeah.
think that was the point, and I think that that's, cheap shot.
Sure is, below the belt.
And that's all I've got to say on them.
Yeah.
Someone that I didn't know about was,
I don't know how you didn't know about him.
I had never heard of him before.
Really? Like,
Yeah.
have you seen like the memes? Have you seen?
No.
Really?
I had never
Not
seen
even like one
anything.
clip.
No.
Yeah. Like I didn't like know him, but like I like came to know him. Come to know him. I guess I don't know. Like just through like the memes and like him like yelling and stuff and like yeah.
Nikocado
yeah.
avocado. Nikocado avocado.
And I never knew his name. You're actually the first person I've heard say that out loud. And like James obviously. But like I just called him Nick Avocado.
That's what he is on Instagram, I think.
Oh, okay.
His
maybe
name's
that's what I
Nicholas Perry.
Yeah.
Um,
You all know him.
yeah, I stayed far away from mukbang stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Gross.
As far as until then, I had
Even
stayed.
still, like,
Yeah. I just think it's gross. It makes
nasty.
me uncomfortable.
it is. They're all gross, no matter who's doing it. Like, I don't want to see anyone eat 5,000 calories in an hour.
No.
Especially when that I know is dying and like having health issues, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
it makes it worse
yeah.
for sure.
Like, yeah. Yeah. It's just gross.
That was just
Especially when it's noodles.
all of the health issues, and then the relationship, and the like exploiting your relationship for views, and
And your
exploiting
body,
health
and, like,
for
yeah,
views,
your health, yeah.
and
Like taking it for granted in a way.
and like how do people get behind, like how do you watch after like knowing all of that, and like
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, yeah. And like, see, I feel like his relationships with his fans are different than like most creators. Like, I feel like
I
his
don't think
fans
they
don't
care
really,
about
yeah, they
him.
don't. Like, I mean, some will say like, oh yeah, get better, stop eating, bro, you're doing this to yourself. But like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like the same kind of relationship that like, even like Addison Rae has with her fans, or like Charli D'Amelio. I mean, obviously that's like a huge level, but like any other creator or
Yeah.
YouTuber with their fans, it just feels different, and it's sad. That's like, this is actually probably the saddest like topic, I guess, when you think about it, because it's just like what
What it can do
Influencing
to
and social
you.
media
Yes,
can do to you when
physically,
you-
someone giving up their life to
be
have
an influencer.
fame.
Yeah.
have a following, have money. I mean, I don't know what it is that he wants it so bad,
I know.
but it can't be worth that.
And it's almost like it's also like the topic of like being too reliant on social media, to where like you're kind of stuck, especially
Yeah.
when you're like a YouTuber and stuff like that, where that's your income. Like, what else is he gonna do but eat? And that's how he makes money. So it's like you can't be too reliant on
And
it.
but he never. I mean, did he ever venture out though?
That is true. Yeah. Yeah.
He was doing okay.
Which is also like another
before,
problem. Yeah.
But and then we concluded, I guess, the episodes with Shane Dawson.
Yes.
And Shane was different because
Mm-hmm.
Shane, we concluded that maybe sometimes people just are the way they are,
Yeah.
and they put that on the internet, and it works.
Sometimes it gets a bad reaction. Sometimes not.
And then it stops working, and then you see what happens
And then
next.
you realize it never was working.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah.
From blackface to saying the N-word to
Child jokes.
child,
Bestiality jokes.
yeah, to using child actors in inappropriate ways, and
Making a horrendous movie.
making a really
That we didn't
really
even watch.
bad
I don't even have to
movie.
watch
It's
it.
not
The trailer-
even,
the trailer's
I,
bad enough.
You know, just fuck that movie.
And the cover's bad too.
Yeah.
Like,
sometimes you don't learn anything.
No.
And you just get to be online because it's 2010 and people don't know what being
online
PC is
is.
yet.
Also
And
true.
so people are cool with super offensive jokes because no one's learned that you're not supposed to say them
Yeah.
and that offending people is not okay.
We're playing into stereotypes.
And then we roll with it.
Yes.
And then 10 years later, you still have a platform and people start getting upset about the way that you still do those things.
Platform. Like, he'll always have his platform, I guess, just because, like, of his name and, like, the history of him in a way, but it's different now.
I wonder
People aren't tuning into Shane Dawson.
I wonder if, like, in 10 years, like, there will be classes on, like, early YouTube and
What
stuff
do you mean,
like that.
like-
Like in college, like if there will be, it'll be like
Oh.
a history of early YouTube, and like you'll have to learn about like Shane Dawson and like what kind of subgenres,
I mean,
like
if
genres
someone is like
and
taking like a media
subgenres,
class,
and like when the Fine Brothers started making React videos and
That-
like how that revolutionized.
this actually
like,
makes sense
media.
because, like, I mean, this is like, I mean, this class can be taught today, but like you have to think about like a lot of the classes that we were taking to some degree. I mean, obviously like this class, digital and social, and then like media and society and like those kind of classes, like more theory based, weren't like, I guess, maximized or like accessible because it wasn't as relevant in like 20 years ago. So if you like flash forward 20 years where social media has become one of the most relevant tools of business, marketing, any influencing, entertainment, like how much could it change and how many like classes, yeah. So that's, I wouldn't say that's far off. I could actually see that even being sooner. Someone might be able to like create that class today.
Someone give me a job. I'll make it happen right now.
Yes. Any employment, employers?
I'm waiting. Email links.
She'll be here. Link your LinkedIn. Call it. LinkedIn.com
LinkedIn.
/Audrey Beringer.
That's me. But yeah, no, I think it's it's really interesting to think about like the way that it'll affect the future and like how we'll have classes on this stuff and it'll be like historic. Oh,
Yeah. What if this is part of the history?
us.
Yeah. I mean, we're we're obviously not on like the magnitude of some of these, but like we're predicting the future. Put this shit in a time capsule.
We're next. They're coming for us.
There they are. Yeah. So I guess that's it.
I guess the show's over.
Yeah.
We did it. I want to thank you guys for watching. I guess this is it.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts?
It's been a fun ride. I mean, like, we've talked about a lot of stuff that, like, I guess I already knew, but a lot of stuff, like, I never had, like, thought about, which is, like, I'm grateful for, I guess, to, like, open my mind about, like, more broad topics in social media and stuff. Since I'm not taking, like, a social media class or anything, for you to introduce a lot of, like, these subjects, I guess.
Yeah.
And, like, even, like, a lot of our guests brought in, like, some good points. Like, Aaliyah made some great points, Gretchen and James, too. Like, I was glad to, like, be able to learn from them as well as you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for all the points that you've brought as well.
Of course.
I feel like
Thanks for having me.
I've this has been like a really great opportunity to research some stuff that I never thought I'd need to know, but then like going into this field, I feel like it's going to be really valuable to me, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks to Ryan Stover for assigning me this project so that I had to learn how to do this kind of stuff.
Yep.
And I've had a really good time, and I want you guys to stick around to see what I end up making in the future, and check Jacob out for what he might make in the future. And we will, I guess, not see you next time, but keep an eye out. And I thank you guys. Thank you to all our guests, and bye. This is the quietest one.
And this has been
This has been
The Effects of Influence.
The Effects of Influencing.
Dude, it's literally just gonna be the mic. Just